Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Welcome to the International Federation of Library Associations Freedom of Access to Information and Freedom of Expression's Open Seminar, Information Integrity in a Platform Society, Forging a Common Agenda. Hi, I'm Joseph Hafner. I'm the Dean of Libraries here at York University, and it's my pleasure to co-chair this event for today. Before we begin, I'd like to start with our land acknowledgement, which is our tradition here. York University recognizes that many indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of the university. York University acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many indigenous nations. The area known as Taekwondo has been caretaken by the Anishinaabe Nation and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. The territory is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peacefully share and care for the Great Lakes region. So it's my pleasure to see so many of you here today in person and virtually. I'm so happy to welcome all of our speakers. We have a wonderful lineup of people here today. And so thanks so much to everyone who helped make this event happen, especially the team there at the back who's going to help us all day to make sure it goes smoothly online and here in person. I'm honored to co-chair this event with my colleague, Jonathan Hernández. He's a professor at UNAM and chair of FAIFE. He's been instrumental in planning the seminar, and so this day couldn't have happened without him. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jonathan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joseph and Leslie. Hello. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure as chair of IFLA's Advisory Committee on Freedom of Access to Information and Freedom of Expression, FAIFE, to welcome you all to this important open seminar. And I want to extend our sincere gratitude to our hosts, York University Libraries, for their generous hospitality and partnership in making this event possible. It's wonderful to be gathered here at this amazing library. FAIFE stand at the forefront of advocating for intellectual freedom, a cornerstone of libraries and democratic societies worldwide. We champion the right of every individual to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas without restriction, and we work to defend this right against censorship and other barriers. Today's seminars could not be more timely. We live in an era where the very concept of information integrity and trust are under constant challenge. Misinformation, disinformation, and the complex dynamics of digital platforms create significant obstacles for citizens, educators, and information professionals alike. That is why we are here, to engage in a dynamic and inclusive dialogue, bringing together diverse perspectives to explore these multifaceted challenges. Libraries, as we all know, have always been pillars of knowledge, access, and trust. In today's complex information landscape, that role is more relevant than ever. Thank you all for being here. It is a pleasure to be, for the first time, I'm coming from Mexico, here in Toronto. And thank you all for your commitment to these crucial issues and for contributing to this information, to this conversation. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Diane Koen, IFLA North American Regional Division Chair. She's joining us via Zoom. Hello, Diane.
Hello. Good morning and a warm welcome to all participants joining us today for the IFLA FAIFE Open Seminar. On behalf of the North America Regional Division, and several of my colleagues are with you in person at York and many more remotely, I am honored to welcome you to this vital conversation hosted here at York. The North America Regional Division is one of 6 IFLA regions. We provide advocacy support for the libraries and library associations across Canada and the USA, working collaboratively with our sister IFLA sections, special interest groups, and advisory groups. This important seminar is a perfect example of the collaborative power of IFLA's regions, sections, and groups, and we are delighted today to support and welcome you to today's initiative. As our societies become ever more shaped by digital platforms, the role of libraries as champions of access to trustworthy information has never been more crucial. Today's seminar brings together diverse voices to address the challenges and opportunities available to us. I want to thank you for being part of this dialogue. Together, we have a shared responsibility and a powerful opportunity to shape a healthier, more equitable information ecosystem for all. Thank you to the team at York University Library under the leadership of Joseph Hafner, and a special thank you to Jonathan Hernández and the entire IFLA FAIFE group for making this day happen. And now I am delighted to introduce Leslie Weir, librarian and archivist of Canada and president-elect of IFLA. It is wonderful to have a strong Canadian guiding IFLA through the next 2 years. And we certainly hope our current government lasts as long as IFLA as Leslie's term. We certainly live in interesting times, and I'll turn the floor over to Leslie Weir. Thank you.
Okay, merci beaucoup, Diane, je pense. And a big thank you to Joseph for acknowledging that we are gathered here today on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wyandot people. I myself have the privilege to live, work, and play on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe. And at Libraries and Archives Canada, we hold the stories of the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis Nation from across the northern part of Turtle Island, which we now know as Canada. And at Libraries and Archives Canada, we believe strongly that without truth, there can be no reconciliation. And what are we here to talk about today but truth, I think. So good morning to everyone in person and online. And as was mentioned, I am Leslie Weir, the librarian and archivist of Canada, and yes, the incoming president of IFLA. I'll be taking over my new role in August in Astana, Kazakhstan. So I'm really thrilled to be here today with dear friends and colleagues who are all united in exploring the pressing challenges, and can I say promising solutions around safeguarding information integrity. Social media and other digital platforms have forever, maybe not forever, but have transformed our ways of communicating. In just a short period of time, peoples from across the globe have instantaneously become our neighbors. We are always just a click away from interacting with them, from learning, purchasing, accessing countless services, and maybe shoes. And the possibilities are manifold, provided that they are guided by good intentions and by integrity. Nous sommes de nos jours bombardés de l'information par le biais de publicités ciblées et de plateformes qui dépendent de notre engagement et de nos informations personnelles et de nos portfolios. So as we all know, this sort of engagement by certain platforms is not always designed to prioritize accuracy or, in fact, inclusion. And yet this content is often more accessible to the public than perhaps some more trustworthy content. So we have to look at how we can not necessarily compete, but that we can work with the endless stream of data and opinions and entertainment available at everyone's fingertips, and try to make sure that they can find the information that will help them form their own opinions. So we haven't chosen the environment we're working in, but I think that we all have the potential to influence and to understand and adapt in terms of this environment, and making sure that the truths do remain accessible and trusted, and that we actually know how the algorithms work, and we can help, as Mike Ridley says, make our AI algorithms more explainable and understandable. Pour relever ces défis et continuer à bien servir nos usagers, nous devons apprivoiser ces technologies. So at Libraries and Archives Canada, we've certainly been really focused on the integrity of the information that we hold. We do play the role for you. Those of you who don't know, we're both the National Library and the National Library, and that the National Archives and the National Library, and that does include the memory of the federal government of Canada. So it is very important that the information we have reflects what actually happened and what happens from all the different perspectives. Because perhaps traditionally we may have focused more on, the government's perspective. And we know that Canada doesn't have one history. Canada has many histories, depending on your perspective in terms of each and every event and moment in our histories. So we're really focused right now in terms of our users, those of today and of tomorrow. And we're really looking at trying to ensure that our collections reflect the diverse voices of all the peoples of Canada, and that those who may have been marginalized or silenced in the past are able to have their voices heard. Now, we have a great opportunity because we are, as many of you know, moving in with a public library. So at Asoke in 2026, we're going to be moving from our iconic colonial building at 395 Wellington, right next door to the Supreme Court, and moving in with a public library. And we are very, very excited to be able to engage with many different demographics, different kinds of people, many people who may not realize that we exist and certainly don't understand that we have the 5th largest heritage collections in the world. So I think it will be very exciting for us as well, because as a National Library and National Archive, we're not always targeted by perhaps actors that have maybe malicious intent. But I think as we raise our profile and move in with a public library, we may in fact become more of a target. So that makes the conversations here even more important to an organization like mine. And I'm extremely thrilled to be here also as the president-elect of IFLA. FAIFE is such an important, integral part in terms of the core values of IFLA. And I'm really looking forward to working even more closely with Jonathan and the committee over the coming years. So heartfelt thanks to the IFLA Advisory Committee on Freedom of Access to Information and Freedom of Expression. Huge thanks to Joseph and to York University Libraries for hosting this very, very important event. And so without further ado, it's my pleasure to hand things back over to Jonathan so that we can get into the real stuff. Over to you, Jonathan.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, and we're just going to take a moment here to get set up. And so as we invite our keynote
speaker
come here, we'll just say thank you so much for being here today. We hope that this is also a day to engage you and with your colleagues and spark some ideas. So we'll have time for dialogue with the presenters as we go throughout the day, and some breakout session at 1.2 so you can have some small group discussions. Thank you.